Hello again, here I am, Father Astor, and we're continuing with our vocation series where we're interviewing many of our conference, where we're part of the mission they are at when they visit here in Murray House in St. John's University. And today we have with us Father John Carney, who is in the mission in Panama. And you celebrated an anniversary recently, right?
30 years.
30 years. Wow, 30 years. With a lot of other conference, you had a nice day at Cape May, I heard.
That's right.
Nice celebration there. John, can you tell us a little bit of your vocation story?
I will try to say a few words.
Okay.
My family came from Ireland in the 50s. Most of my aunts and uncle, my parents were born in Ireland, so they had the tradition of Irish Catholicism, and I was born here in New York and lived very close to the church in Astoria, Immaculate Conception. And as an altar boy, the priest from St. John's would go for Mass on Sunday. So the vocation director at that time celebrated Mass and would invite the altar boys to what we had the vocation workshop at the minor seminary. So I attended them. I decided I wanted to go there along with some others at that time, and one of whom is John Prager. So I started there at Princeton and then continued through our formation program. I guess having lived very close to the church, I always had an association with the church. And one of the influences too, I think, was my mother, who was very ill when I was a child, and I guess I didn't fully appreciate what she was going through, but I do remember the priest coming to the home to see her, and there were very special moments where she showed in her weakness, showed a great attention and devotion to all that was going on. So I knew it was something very important, and I guess in my ministry I've had also a tendency to have a certain sensibility for those who are ill, try to get to the hospital when you can and visit people in the home. And as a seminarian, I guess I was interested maybe in doing parish work, and then some of the others at the time we were in theology had the opportunity to visit Panama and see our ministry there, and I enjoyed it very much, the work with the people. And so when I was getting close to ordination and asked about what I'd like to do, I expressed a desire to go to Panama. So I've had the opportunity in Panama to work in different settings, such as urban ministry and also in the countryside. In the area highlands, where the people produce cattle and coffee, and the road conditions at that time were very, very difficult. It was also a time when there was a lot of unrest in the country. We even lost one of our priests, as you know, was killed at the time. And all of that kind of influenced, I think, to reinforce the identity of a Vincentian in service to the poor. At this time, I'm back in Panama City at our first mission, the house that the conference first established, right there in Balboa. And as you know, the provincials invited the conference, and if anybody else would like to come and see the mission, I'm sure they're more than welcome.
Yes, it's a nice mission. I had the pleasure of going in February, being there a whole month in Panama. It was a beautiful place, not just to see as visual-wise, but experience with the people. John, I just thought about your name in Spanish, the way they call you in Panama, and I heard about it before I met you, Juan Carne, and carne means meat, no? And I always thought that you were being bigger than me. I think you're bigger than me in your generosity with the people, because I saw in the few days I was with you how generous you were with time to visit the sick. You're always running off to see somebody, or homebound, or bring communion, or hospitalized, and that's really something beautiful, because in the world that we live in at the moment, we're always running. We don't take time to live the moment and live with people and hear their story, which is so important for many, just to have a voice and to be heard, and that we have time for them. That's beautiful. You mentioned two things. You talked about Nico Van Cleef. I think, is it his 25th anniversary, or is it coming up soon?
Nico in 2014
will be the 25th anniversary of his murder.
As you know, confrere from Holland who served in Panama, and on Election Day in 1989. It was a very special, tense time in Panama, but in a confusing incident, he was shot by a soldier who later was brought to trial and convicted. The implication was it was an accident. But nonetheless, he's not remembered just for the way he died, but also for the way he lived, because he spent most of his ministry and did it from a wheelchair. He had suffered a car accident and then was able to adapt his ministry using it. First, people had never seen, I understand, in Panama, somebody who couldn't walk driving a car. And he was able to do that through the technology of the time, and then continued to visit communities where the car could get to, and had a big influence in trying especially to encourage youth. And I know part of your purpose in recording is to encourage the youth. And one of the last homilies Nico gave was around the time when we were celebrating one of the first World Youth Days, and how he encouraged the youth to do something for the community in service for the church. So I think that was a very special message of his life, and how to use your gifts or your talents, not just for one's own benefit, but in giving the youthful spirit to the church as well.
Another milestone that the community in Panama is having is 100 years.
100 years.
100 years of service and being there as a mission. As you know, this year we had the ordination of Eric, which will be almost a month now, I can't believe it. And we have at least 6 more other young men in formation from Panama, along with almost 17 here in the States. And that's really a promising time for us, I think. Would you like to give those people information, our young men information? And also, it doesn't have to be just Vincentians, maybe the daughters. What message would you give for them as they are in that stage of formation?
Ánimo. Los pobres son los preferidos del Señor y los necesitan. I have encouraged them to be very enthusiastic. I think the poor are very dear to the Lord, and they have a great need of experiencing His presence. And I think young people in formation, with their creativity, their intelligence, their enthusiasm, can allow the Lord's Spirit to enliven, especially those in most need.
Well, thank you, John, for taking time of your schedule. He's been here for personal reasons and also celebrations, but as he has talked about servicing the poor and the sick, he's here also taking care of family, mother. And we pray for that, and we pray for your mission, and may you have many more years of blessed service, and count with our prayers. And hopefully some of our conference who have not visited Panama yet will take you up on that call. Besides you, the provincial always invites us also. If you want to go to Panama, just ask us. And it's a beautiful mission, and thank you for being with us.
And thank you for your good efforts and your ministry, which is important, I think, very much for our province and for the church.
Thank you, John.